Today I want to talk about OU Texas and the prospect of playing at night and all that's coming up after the bumper.
Don't be cornering me. Hold up. Time. You gotta help me with that corner shit.
What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always college football related, sports related. We have a good time today. I want to talk about OU Texas and the prospect of playing that game at night. Before I get to that, I want to let you know we got USC head coach Clay Helton coming up on the show on Monday. Talk about post-spring top 25, my ranking, and we're going to get into a little bit of transfer portal talk on that show. But over the last week, we have seen the rollout of schedule and broadcast networks where games will be played or shown or displayed. One of those words. And we know that OU Texas and Bedlam are going to be on ESPN this year. I think this is interesting, right? Because we know that what days the games are going to be on, like October 9th for OU Texas, but we don't have a time, whereas we've seen times attached to nearly all of these games. But I think, one, we're going to see how the season goes, because if OU and Texas are both undefeated, that's going to be a primetime game, and everybody's going to watch that one. And I expect both of those teams will be top 10 by the time that game is played if they are undefeated. Other part about this is because OU Texas being on Fox had been a big noon kickoff game, it is in that primetime window of 11 a.m. Central Standard Time for TV viewing. Fans, OU and Texas fans, generally hate that, right? One, it's a very difficult thing to get up for because you got to get up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning to beat traffic to try to get to the Cotton Bowl around the Texas State Fair. And that's the other big issue here. OU Texas goes on during Texas State Fair weekend, which means there's all sorts of people in and about the stadium itself. And one of the reasons you've always seen that game played in the afternoon, whether it be 11 a.m. or 2:30, is because people get drunk and rowdy and mean at night. And you want to curtail, if you can, any incentive to act stupidly if your team were to win or lose, and that's how you act. Deshaun Jameson actually brought this up, saying, I wish the game was played at night. And I think there's a lot of people that wish the game was played at night. And I think that that's actually the majority of people. But I think when we talk about who gets to make that decision, networks and athletic departments, you're probably not going to see as much incentive for that because nobody wants any untoward behavior or violence. Now, I would love to think that folks could be trusted to enjoy the game at a 7 p.m. Central Standard Time kickoff, and no muss, no fuss, no matter who wins, who loses, or how good or bad the game is. But that's just not what we have seen. Now, that is probably ratcheted up a bit more in 2021 because we're coming out of a pandemic. We didn't have the Texas State Fair. OU Texas was not played in front of like anybody. And everybody is going to be looking forward to this game, unlike they have in years past, because, again, we are grateful for being able to go out and take our mask off. And those of us that are vaccinated are feeling like, okay, cool, it's safe for us to be out in public now and do stuff. And I think you're going to see the rest of this year, basically the next 6 months, people being out doing stuff. And because people have been cooped up for so long, some of them are more likely to act up. College football fans do not have the greatest reputation for, shall we say, neat activity, right? So on the one hand, yeah, I get it. But on the other hand, I'd like to see this game played at night because the two teams are undefeated, right? And that would be huge because that means that Casey Thompson or Hudson Card are playing their butts off. And Spencer Rattler is playing his butt off. And Kennedy Brooks is in good shape. Eric Gray is the dude we saw in spring game. Marvin Mims is playing like an All-American again. The defense for Oklahoma is playing up to snuff. And then you get to see Pete Kwiatkowski's defense actually go after people. Vernon Broughton plays well. Alfred Collins plays well. Deshaun Jameson plays well. So I think him just saying, hey, look, we would very much like for the game to be played at night is also him kind of trying to speak into existence a very good season for Texas. And Texas is due for a very good season. Like, I know some people think of the 10-4 2018 Sugar Bowl season as that year, but I don't, right? I tend to think that Sam Ehlinger saying that we're back was not it, but 14 games to win 10, it's not really a great college football season. Plus, You have Georgia saying they didn't want to be there, and we all know that the 2018 Thorpe Award winner didn't play, right? DeAndre Baker. And that team really thought it was going to play for a national championship, if not its second in as many years. Now we're talking about OU, who hasn't been to a national championship game since 2008, and Texas, who hasn't been to a national championship game since 2009. And the prospect of this being a big year for Steve Sarkisian in year one, a lot of expectations for him because he's coming off of winning a national championship as an offensive coordinator and has proven he can develop a quarterback, whether it's Tua Tagovailoa or a Mac Jones, two different styles of quarterback. He's able to get it done with both of those dudes. He's got a Heisman winner at wide receiver in Devontae Smith. He had a running back taken in the first round in Najee Harris. Like, he's got dudes. He's able to get Ben Davis to transfer from Alabama to Texas to play a little linebacker for him. And he's got one of the best tailbacks in the country in Bijan Robinson carrying the load, plus National Gatorade Player of the Year, Jake Smith, Jordan Whittington, who was all-world in Texas, Joshua Moore, who was the best wide receiver for them last year. They've got people, right? They've got players. And you can say the same thing about Lincoln Riley, who has done everything but win a national championship, or at least play in a national championship game, or really win a college football playoff game. And this is the magic year for Oklahoma, right? This is the year for which they ought to contend and win their 8th national title. And it's first since, my God, I was 13 years old in 2000, in year 2 for Bob Stoops, which is ridiculous to think about. And the only guys that have been better at this are Bob Stoops and Barry Switzer, right? I guess you can make an argument for Bud Wilkinson, but that's a different era of football. I think of post-integration as being a different era of football. So basically 1970 forward. And Barry Switzer was the king then, and he's the king now. And Riley's chasing him, and we all know it. Now, you also want to see it played at night because that means that the nation cares about your team. And that's just not something that you can take for granted in college football because college football has become even more regional, right? Ohio State fans are fans of the Big Ten. SEC fans obviously chant SEC. Pac-12 fans want to see one of their teams play in a playoff game. But when your game is the primetime game on ESPN and or ABC at 7 o'clock, yeah, that's what you're here for. You want to see all eyes on you, and you want to see your squad turn up. And it wasn't that long ago that was true for both Oklahoma and Texas. And I get that a lot has changed since then, but we're not that far from it. So could we see a night game? Yes. Are we likely to see a night game? No. All right, that's it for me. Doses.